Hi, my name is Kiara Kelly. I am the author of Bossing Up, Snatching Back My Power Through God's Process, and you are watching The Chundria Show.
My next guest is a multi-talented 20-something and author of Bossing Up, Snatching Back My Power Through God's Process. Today we're talking about her inspiration for the book and how we can all snatch back our power at any age. Welcome to the show!
Thank you. I'm so excited.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good. You look good.
You look good.
Thanks,
all right,
girl.
let's dive in. You are the brand new author of this beautiful book. Tell me
Yes.
about your inspiration for writing it.
My inspiration really just came from my own journey as a 20-something-year-old graduating college, and honestly, God too. Like that's where that inspiration came from writing this book.
Okay, now this started off as a blog first.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
So my blog was called Boss in Her 20s, and it was just something that I was doing. I was going through postgraduate depression after school, and I needed an outlet. And I felt like talking about those real life experiences that I was going through as far as dealing with postgraduate depression, not finding work after college, and you have this whole degree, and I was giving free information out. So I'm like, I can literally turn this into a book, make it more lengthy. You know, I tried to keep my blogs short and cute, and that's how that flipped into a book.
Okay, so you set out to pour into other peers,
Yes,
really, people
yes.
in your age. Now, did you find that your friends were suffering from the same things that you were
Yes,
suffering
there
from?
were a lot of us that graduated. I went to Bennett College. Shout out to my HBCU. But a lot of us that graduated from Bennett, we were going through postgraduate depression, but through social media, you kind of think everyone's living their best life. And it wasn't until I started talking about that, I came on my blog, then I was getting, text messages like, I'm going through the same thing, I thought you were living your best life. And I'm like, no, girl, like, it's
The
real
struggle
out
is
here.
really real.
Yes,
What did you
so
study in college?
Journalism and media
Okay,
studies. So
very
it went
good.
hand in hand.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Now, your journey as a writer started, as you said, as a journalism student and blogger. Tell me about those two experiences. What type of journalism were you doing in college?
Just writing and doing media, so behind the scenes and in front of the camera. But honestly, I didn't want to be a journalist. I didn't want to write. I just heard media, and I'm like, I can't be the next Wendy Williams or Oprah. And so that's what I was doing at school. I was just in front of the camera doing TV shows. I did not like writing because when I write, I want to just write from whatever I think, With journalism, you kind of get...
You don't want to be told what to write.
Yes,
Okay.
and things marked off and all that stuff. But it so happened that I ended up writing a whole book, even though I was trying to stay away from the writing part. But
So how was it to write the book? Did it just flow out naturally? Or did you break down, like, I want to talk about these distinct topics?
I did. I started back in 2017, so I had it kind of mapped out, but it changed because I didn't finish till literally this year, 2019, but it all changed. It was just an idea that came to me, and I said, okay, I could talk about postgraduate depression. I could talk about the things that I had to heal from through, the season that I was going through my life. So it kind of flowed, but it was just the idea of taking what was in my head and what was on paper and actually writing the book.
Would you say there were points like where you evolved? Because obviously, if you started this years ago, you've evolved in those years.
Yes.
So were there things you left out? Like, I'm not dealing with that anymore, so I'm moving forward from that?
No, I think I talked about everything from frenemies to things that you deal with, like within your own self, battling with my relationship with God. I talked about everything, just so I
Everything
wanted
that
somebody
you
else
dealt
to
with in your
feel.
20s.
Yeah, I wanted somebody else to know, like, whatever you're going through, I'm going through too. So I didn't want to leave anything out.
I love that you made yourself so relatable.
Yes.
And you let people, I feel like those are things that we go through in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. So that you were able to tackle that and then pour it back into people all over the world. So great job on that.
Thank you.
What do you personally attribute to your own poise, confidence, and success?
I think honestly,
You're so regal. I've always thought that about you.
Thank
What do you
you.
attribute to that?
I think, honestly, my mom and my grandma, I feel like growing up, they always put in me, like, if I said I wanted to be, like, a doctor this week, a surgeon next week, an OBGYN the next week, they never made me feel like my dreams were weird or no, you can't do that. So I feel like I took that as a young girl, and through my whole life, I've just been feeling confident. Like if I said I wanted to jump off a tree but write something in the sky, my mom's like, oh, you can do it, you can do it. And I literally feel confident doing it. I'm not afraid
Shout
to
out to mom.
Right. Shout out to my mama. I'm not afraid to do anything because they put that in me from a young age.
You're not afraid to take risks. You're not afraid to leap.
No, like
You're
I'm
confident.
I have like the nervousness that everyone gets, but I'm like, okay, we're just gonna do it and see what happens.
I'm gonna do it scared.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do it scared. Do it scared. Every day we all get up and we work toward our own goals. How do you encourage anyone to boss up at any age?
I think at any age how you can boss up. One, I feel like a huge thing for bossing up is healing yourself. Going deep inside of yourself and figuring out what's going on. How can I, fix whatever's going on inside.
So identifying those issues.
Yes, early on, I feel like a lot of people try to stray away from that and suppress everything, but it's going to just harm you in the end. I feel like that, healing yourself, and also just knowing and believing in yourself. If no one else believes in you, believe in yourself. Even if it's the craziest idea, believe in yourself. It will take you far. So I feel like those two ways will make you boss up.
And I love that you have such a strong, support system within your family.
Yes.
But for someone who may not have that amazing mom and that amazing grandma and all these amazing friends that are in this room with you and your sister and everybody, how do you encourage someone that feels like that they feel like they don't have that support system to keep on going and keep bossing up?
I feel like besides my family and like my friends, there was a time that I feel like I didn't have a support system just with the people that I was surrounded with at that time. Sometimes you have to honestly block that out. Like literally tell yourself, like, if I have no one supporting me, I believe in myself, God believes in me because clearly he gave me this vision, and then just do it. Your tribe will find you, you will find your tribe. And sometimes your friends become family.
Absolutely. So. Love that about you.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Okay,
Thank you.
this book you wrote.
Yes.
You love pink, huh?
I do. I do.
Tell me about the decision to, like, the design of it all. How did this become real life?
I knew. So I went to Barnes and Noble.
I want you to hold it while you tell me.
Okay. I went to Barnes and Noble one time, and I seen this pink book, and my favorite color is pink, and I was like, yo, that caught my eye out of all the books, just because it was pink, and I'm like, so I'm gonna make my book cover pink. And then I had my Boss in Her 20s logo gold, and I was like, gold might look good on the book too. So that's literally how it came about. I was just like, I told my publisher, I want a pink book.
I tell my publisher, okay.
I want a pink book. I don't know, what color pink, but I want it pink and I want it gold, and she made it happen.
Awesome.
So,
and it's absolutely beautiful. What feedback have you gotten so far on the book?
I've really gotten a lot of good feedback. I was really nervous putting out the book because it's a self-help book. You're pouring out your, soul. And I was really nervous, but even women that aren't in their 20s have told me that this book has helped them, or it's really good, or I'm going through this right now. Thank you. One of my friends, she had bought it, she received it, and then she sent me a text message like, girl, I broke up with my boyfriend because I'm not on the right path. Like, I'm like, oh, girl, I wasn't trying to break up with your boyfriend, but
you helped her remove those toxins in her life.
Yes, and now she's thriving, so.
That's got to be a good feeling. I know you sleep well at night knowing that your story, your transparency is helping others.
Yes.
So.
Hold on tight. Another great interview on The Chundria Show is coming right up. But first, please like The Chundria Show fan page on Facebook and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter using the handle @ChundriaTV. Would you like to be a guest on The Chundria Show? Are you an expert in health and wellness or love and relationships? Do you have an important inspirational message to share with the world? Well, feel free to visit the official website at www.chundriashow.com. There, you can watch video clips and learn more about the show and submit yourself to be a guest. And of course, you can keep watching The Chundria Show right here on this channel. Now, let's get back to another interview with another amazing Chundria Show guest. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm Stephanie B. from Stephanie B & Co., and you're watching The Chundria Show.
While rewarding, entrepreneurship requires dedication and a take-charge attitude. My special guest expert talks defying common myths in business and entrepreneurship. Stephanie Benjamin, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show!
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I appreciate this Chicago love today.
Yes.
It's always exciting to have someone from my hometown on the show. So how are you feeling?
I feel great.
Living in LA in this warm weather?
Oh, my, yeah. Although we are getting some cool weather, which I'm grateful for at this moment.
Oh,
I kind of miss
you like
the
it a little cool?
Yeah. Well, I like the heat, but right now at 109 for a whole 2 weeks, you're like, I'm done.
It's enough for me.
It's enough.
Turn it off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Tell me about yourself and your business, Startup Chic. And what inspired you to help others?
Yeah, so essentially, I came out of Columbia during the time that we had recession, and I didn't know what could I do with my arts and entertainment media management major, this bachelor's degree that I had. And while I was in school, I actually went to a class around how to start your own business and how to work within the music business. I used to sing, and I wanted to understand the music business, but I had a hard time with sight singing because I struggled with ADHD. And so I got so frustrated with it that I said, well, let me just kind of switch up the gears a little bit. And I took this class. It was on called the Urban Inspirational Showcase. And the gentleman that was teaching it was none other than Donald Lawrence.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from that class, he taught us essentially the music business, royalties, and essentially how to produce your own event from scratch. And again, none of the stuff I was thinking of at the time. The following year, he saw me at the Grammys. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I said, I love this element of event production because part of the class was to produce a concert at the end of it. And I loved it so much that I went to the Grammys just to see the production of it. Mm-hmm. And so he said, okay, I see that you're really passionate about this. And he started having me stage manage all his live album recordings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Chicago. So then I started to really be engulfed in the concept of working with gospel artists, working with the churches, connecting churches with brands. I met a colleague of mine at Verizon. Mm-hmm. She would reach out to me in regards to securing backline and band members for the Verizon How Sweet the Sound tour. And then that led me essentially from that friendship, leading me into owning my own marketing agency, starting my own business, producing these programs for Verizon Wireless, which got me into the whole thing of owning my own business immediately after I got out of school. So that led me from people reaching out to me like, Steph, how did you start this business? And you're really good at following up with people, and you're so professional. And can you teach me how to produce an event? Can you teach me the management side of things? And over the years, people kept reaching out to me in regards to business. And I found when I moved here that I really loved coaching businesses. I really loved training. I switched up a little bit and went more into the electronic sales.
So you weren't coaching anyone in Chicago. It wasn't until you got to LA that you started to coach?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I coached in Chicago, but it was more of I'd bring people on to help with events that I was working on, and I would show them how to do it as we were more of like a on-site, on-job kind of training kind of thing.
But to help you with the production
at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when I moved here to LA, I went through an extensive leadership training for a couple of years, closed my agency in Chicago, and just focused really on giving back to myself. And then from there, I started saying, okay, well, where do I want to be right now in my life? What do I want to do? What gives me great value? And it really is about helping business owners understand who is your target audience, how do you meet an emotional need, and how do you make your business ultimately successful because you're helping somebody else. And I just found that when I help people, I really enjoy the feeling of someone else's satisfaction based on the fact that I literally just Google everything. I mean, and Google is right there, and sometimes people just don't know where to go. And I like being that resource and being the solution.
That's beautiful that you give of yourself to help. Even if, I mean, I know you're downplaying it like it's just Google, but I mean, sometimes you don't have time to Google or research, or you don't even know what to search or who to call first to get the information.
Yeah.
So I think that's really admirable that you are so selfless in that way. Like you could continue on. You could really do whatever you want to do, but for you to take time out of your life to, help others is really admirable.
I love it.
How do you encourage entrepreneurs to continually seek knowledge and resources to help them in business? How do you encourage them to seek the same way you're doing it for them? How do you encourage them to do it on their own?
So typically what I do is I I let small businesses know that there are tons of resources out there, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed about the amount of resources out there. One of the biggest things that we fall victim to as small business owners is because there are so many there's so much software out there, you can be very much so overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that's out there. And to realize that you have to learn to trust yourself inside and say, this is the software that I need right now, this is the tool that I need right now, this is the mentor I need right now, as opposed to this mentor is saying this and I'm gonna run here. But no, they're contradicting what this person has said, so I'm gonna run here. I always approach small businesses with, do you believe in yourself first? Do you trust yourself first? Do you trust your choices first? And that had to start with me. Ultimately, I had to realize that I was trusting things on the outside before I was trusting myself, which had me double-minded. And coming from a church background, I understand the concept of being double-minded and feeling like you're going nuts because you're listening to everybody, right? So the number one thing in terms of foundation is trusting yourself, so that way it empowers you in your choice to choose this coach, to choose this software, because everybody is trying to sell you the new lead pages. You know, everybody is trying to sell you ClickFunnels.
Everybody's trying to sell you something.
They all trying to sell you something, right? And all of these tools do automate your process, and it does make it faster for you. There's no doubt in that. But the idea that you have to use this specific product, that's not the case. You know, you just have to choose what's right for you. And I feel like in terms of empowering entrepreneurs, teaching them to believe in themselves first will allow them to choose the other things outside of that.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about common myths in business and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You could share your opinion on these. Okay, myth number one is starting a business is the best way to get rich.
Yeah, that's a huge no. Starting a business takes time. Oftentimes they'll tell you that it takes 5 years to produce some sort of revenue or return on your investment, because of the structure of business nowadays, the way social has allowed us to work from home, you can actually make money a lot faster. You can have a return much faster than the 5-year mark. But to still turn a very profitable business and have people in different positions, it still takes time. You know, understanding your audience, people think that you can just throw a business together and then immediately
quit your job.
Quit your job, you know, or it's like, oh, I have 320,000 followers, they have to buy from me. I'm like, well, what's your engagement really look like on your social page? You know, if it's not 6%, then chances are they don't trust you, which means you can post whatever you want and they're not gonna buy from you. There's actually a story that I read recently of a young lady who was selling t-shirts, and she had some 100,000s of followers and she sold not one t-shirt.
But she assumed that because she had the traction and the followers that she would.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, the whole concept. People think that starting a business, you don't have to deal with the bosses anymore, but really your clients are your bosses regardless. And it still takes time. You can make a lot of money in your business, but a lot of people don't think about, is my business feasible? And they don't do the homework in the beginning of, how do I identify my target audience and what do they want and how do I satisfy a need? How do I satisfy an emotional need, which is not what a lot of people say. They just say, oh, what's the pain point? Well, the pain point, it's such a stupid word nowadays. It's emotional need. How can I connect to my consumer in an emotional space that I satisfy a need for them that makes them feel good? So, yeah, it's not easy.
You will not get rich.
You will not
right
get
away.
rich.
Okay, myth number two, starting a business guarantees freedom.
I'm gonna laugh
At all of them.
at all of these. Yeah, no. So I've actually often considered doing funny videos of kind of like what is promoted online about what entrepreneurship looks like, because we're not sitting on the beach somewhere with our laptop.
Because you see the glamorous parts of it.
Yeah.
But you don't see the hard work that it takes behind it, or the investments, or the money.
Absolutely not. You don't see the roller coaster ride of emotions, the tears, the stress eating. I mean, I can easily spend $100 in a day when I'm stressed about something around business. And I have to often tell myself, like, just be in the present, just be in the present, just be in the present. You got to keep those kind of
little affirmations and
affirmations,
all that, which then goes to the next one. Business plans guarantee success.
Yeah, no.
I wrote my business plan out. It should just all work. It should just be foolproof. This business should just take off. Because I spent 3 hours working on this business plan today. So it sounds funny saying it. I spent 3 hours working on this business plan. This business is just, I'm about to make a lot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't, because all business ideas don't always produce or garner the eyes or impression, so to speak, that you think that they should garner.
Okay, the next one. Every founder should do every job in the early phase of the business. What about this myth?
I don't necessarily agree with that entirely. I think that if you're really good at budgeting and looking at, from your other job, if you have another job, looking at where you can take little tasks and give to maybe a virtual assistant, that would be, would help you move faster. I always believe in the 80-20 rule. You get 80% of the work done with 20% of the effort. Are there tasks that I can hire a virtual assistant for that can get this done much faster while I focus on other elements of my business, such as engaging people on social?
Right.
I need to do that. I can't hire anybody else to do that but me. Once I become a big brand, then maybe someone else can engage with them, because at that point it's on autopilot.
That's smart. And then to find whatever your strengths are, and then you focus on that. If you're good, like you said, if you're good at budgeting, then you do that. If you're not good with social media, then you bring somebody else in.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do that. Next myth: business owners can worry about earning money later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's a no for me, dog.
That's a hard no. And actually, one of the biggest mistakes that business owners make is not thinking money first, in a sense of understanding their target audience. In 10 years, 90% of businesses that start up won't be in existence because either funding, which I think I have my own kind of thing about that, but the other thing is marketing. They don't spend time understanding their audience. They don't spend time listening to the consumer. And that's why some of these businesses do so well. Why Apple does so well. Why Pepsi, why Coca-Cola does so well, because they listen to their consumers and they're this corporate giant as a result. So
they market well too.
Yeah, they do.
So then that goes, as a startup, you can't afford top tier talent for your business.
I don't agree with that. I think that if you want to present yourself, you don't have to go out and get the best photographer, right? If you look at other really notable Instagram page, Gary Vaynerchuk, I follow him, and his stuff is just like videos of himself in the office. It doesn't have to be like some super pretty video nowadays, which is what's been pushed to us.
And then on the flip side, it doesn't have to just be the worst video either, because you are a new business.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to settle, and you don't have to have the best thing.
Exactly.
What I hear from that.
So you don't have to hire essentially top tier, but I think in terms of professionalism, in terms of responding, in terms of getting back, that's the main thing you kind of want to look at. It's like, are you addressing your audience? Are you putting out content that your audience wants to see and wants to hear, and they can actually learn from and provide real emotional value to?
Okay. Last few of them. Marketing for a business costs too much. You touched on this.
Yep. I would say that's a no. That's a hard no. Marketing is so simple nowadays, especially with social. You can do market research in Facebook groups. You can join groups and just watch what people are talking about. You can look at Reddit and look at what people are talking about and the questions that they're asking. There are so many tools that you can use online where you don't have to do surveys essentially, or you could do surveys. But there's so many free resources that are out there to help you identify. I just think people just need a pointer of how to do it, like direction. So,
love it, love it. It takes money to make money, and entrepreneurs give little attention to their personal lives.
Takes money to make money. I don't know. It takes labor. Labor hours. So I guess when you think about it from that standpoint, but a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't put a dollar sign to your labor hours. I'm still trying to understand that whole concept kind of thing. In terms of taking care of ourselves, yes. We entrepreneurs are like 10 hours at your desk working, and then you're like, oh, I'm dizzy. I need to eat.
But I think people do believe that because you're an entrepreneur, you're just working 20 hours a day and you don't have time for your lives, your mates, your children. Like, go out of here. You know, that's one I can attest to, that you can't have a personal life outside of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, you can. You have to really create that time. I know with my boyfriend, I used to work when I was around him. And I realized that that's our time together. Like, I've been working on this business all day long. I don't need to be thinking about it for 18 hours in a day, right? What I can get done in 8 hours is what I'm going to get done in 8 hours. And then when I'm off, I'm going to do the gym. I'm going to eat healthy.
And I'm going to curl up with you and watch a movie.
Yes, exactly.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your time today. If any entrepreneurs are interested in your services, tell me what services you provide for them and how they can get in contact with you.
So essentially what we look at is feasibility studies. We look at, is your idea feasible? Will it even produce some sort of revenue? I help businesses look at businesses that are already launched that aren't doing well, that you want to figure out how to start making some money. It's really people in the startup phase of their business. And honestly, I give out my personal number for people to reach me directly. Awesome. So that number is 312-257-1138.
Chicago number.
Yeah, Chicago.
That is fantastic that you do that. And I thank you for your time and pouring into my viewers today. You are absolutely wonderful. Keep up the amazing work with your business and all of its success.